Morning guys, Mon here. Today I want to talk about trade and in specifics about how to create a proper search to get the items you are looking for the cheapest price possible. With that said, today's most important thing we are talking about is the weighted sum feature. But we are going over some other details as well, so let's dive right into it. First of all, for those who do not know it, Path of Exile has a trade site which you can access by typing pathofexile.com/trade2 into the URL. You will get onto this site, which is the official trading post of Path of Exile. It is on their main site. This is nothing external of the studio. This is all official stuff, nothing third party here. The only third party tool I am integrating into this is my trade helper Better Trading, which allows me to save searches and stuff like that. But this is not part of the video. It does help though, but is not what we are talking about today. In this video, we will go about different searches, and to get you into the topic, we first of all will build a trade for a belt that has life and resistances, just a very basic one, and make the search a little more complicated with every step we take. First of all, we want maximum life on the belt. Let's say 130 to have a decent base, and we want armor. Here it might be that there is multiple armor rolls and not all of them do work. So we check, is this one going to work? No, it does not have any results, so we need to use the other one. Sometimes there is multiple different rolls that appear on different items, and well, that can make the thing a little broken. Then if you really want a very good base, we could also go for implicit to armor and have a belt with armor in the explicit and armor in the implicit. Though this does take a lot of belts out of our search, so while this can be cool, you can also go, if you just want armor on your belt, now we can just use the second first, and then we just say we want 2 of these. We know one of the armor rules will not work, so with count 2, it takes both of these. With count 1, it just takes one of these. So one of these have to be in the belt, and we just say it has to be at least 100. So one of these will be in the belt. Then we want resistances. For resistances, we want any of the resistances. We don't really care. We just pick cold, fire, lightning, and maybe even chaos. And then say we want at least 60 resistance. So when we search now, we gain a belt that has life, that has 1 armor roll, either in the implicit or in the prefix. Here we see it's in the implicit, here we see it in the prefix. And then we have the sum of 63 resistances. We can now search by this sum and go for very expensive stuff, but we can make this a little better also. 60 resistances is not quite enough for me. I want a little more, so we go with 90. But I don't really need all that much lightning, fire, or chaos resistance. I do want a lot of cold resistance though. So into my end search, which is the thing that always has to be in the belt, we go with cold resistance and say it does have to have at least 40 cold resistance so that I'm capped. Now we will see items that have a lot of cold resistance and use the other resistances to get to the total sum. Because this one still looks for the total sum of 90, but this one excludes items that have below 40 cold resistance from our search. Now, while this is pretty good, it is not enough for me. It is still not specific enough because there is a couple more options we can take. Cold resistance is very good at 40, but we don't really need it as high on a single step because we can just use cold resistance, or we can use the cold resistance corruption. Now corruptions now are counted as enchants, not as implicits anymore. This is important for all POE1 players that are looking for corruptions and put implicit in front of the search. It is what's called, it is an enchantment now. So now we get more results. Probably, well, there are not that many on the market, so cold resistance is not here, but this could be used to can actually say it like this. This way we want cold resistance on the item. Why is there no cold resistance belt? Oh, I'm stupid. We put this to 60. Then we will see a combination of a high cold resistance plus an implicit. Or you will have to try around with this a bit till you find something that fits. But what we can do also, if we don't need as specific resistances, we put the implicit resistances in here as well, or the enchanted resistances due to the corruption in here as well, and put the value here even higher. Now, there is no belts on the market right now that fit these searches, sadly, but you're getting an idea. Now, some say, well, chaos resistance doesn't roll as high, and this is true, so we put a 2 in here. So the chaos resistance value is doubled. So when the item has 22 or 20 chaos resistance, now we suddenly see more items because the chaos resistance here counts as 42 instead of 21. And now we see a corruption with cold resistance because the total sum of the fire, lightning, chaos, and cold resistance is 128 because chaos resistance value is doubled. This explains pretty much the base feature of weighted sum and count. And, well, we have armor in here as well. Now we can say we don't want armor anymore and see a lot more belts probably. And what we also can do is search by the sum to have the highest resistance belt on the market. You can use fractions here also to just say, well, this is pretty cool, but I don't need as much, so my fraction is a little lower there. So let's take a look at the second example I have prepared. This is pretty identical, though here we are looking for movement speed boots with life and a lot of resistances. We do also wanted to have chaos resistance and put some strength in here. To not work with fractions, we can also just put higher numbers. All of these are doubled now with chaos resistance quadrupled so that we look for a weighted sum of 170. Also, I am looking for energy shield based boots, so we put the strength and the dexterity requirement to 1. 0 does work also, I do think, so you can do either of those. And now I say, well, these are a bit expensive, so I'm fine with hybrid intelligence and evasion boots or pure evasion boots also. So we drop out the dexterity requirement here. Can also say, well, these ones are corrupted, but do not have a socket, which is pretty annoying. So you can put in corrupted no to not find boots that miss the socket. What is fairly annoying here, or the option just isn't there yet, is that we cannot, for corrupted items that have a potential, or uncorrupted items that have a potential socket, because empty rune socket implies that the item does have a rune socket applied to the item that is not filled yet. So it won't show items that don't have the rune socket at all yet. This is probably just something that is missing yet. There is a lot of features from POE1 trade missing that will come in the future, pretty sure. But yeah, this is what we currently have to work with. Overall, well, pretty good. Now let's take a look at the third example, which is slightly more complicated. Now we are looking for a wand. We want the wand to have one of the spell damage. These are mutually exclusive, so you can put a count search in here because it will either pick all spell or all lightning spell skill gems because these cannot be together on the item, and then we want cast speed as well. Now we want different mods on our item with a total sum of 340, for example. These have very, very different values, and you will have to look at them or have an idea of them. For example, at POEDB, this is one of the databases for Path of Exile that currently is the most up to date, where a lot of the mods are in there already, and you can take a look at what rolls on what items. All the links will be in the description, of course. Then for the wand, we see, okay, I am looking for a decent upgrade, so we put the weighted sum 340 in here. We want spell damage, lightning, gain damage as extra, lightning, mana, and cast speed. This can ignore some of the mods if the weighted sum is high enough from, well, 3 of them, for example, but will always have cast speed because we put it down here. So we are looking for wands, and we see 27 wands. That's not all that many, but there is quite decent ones here. Why is it not so many? Well, because I did limit the search to exalted prices. Now we can limit it to divine prices and say maximum 10, though this will exclude all items listed for exalts out of the search, so you should look for exalted items first. Now we see, okay, these are pretty decent. I am sorting by weighted sum to see what is the item with the highest weighted sum on the market for the price I have selected, and then it will automatically well, sort them up to down. We can also go by price and then see, okay, these are the cheapest, and then just up the number to see, okay, I want a better item for a cheaper price. Search by sum again and see, okay, these are pretty decent. If you want tears in your eyes, you just remove the maximum price and search by sum and see some of the extremely good pieces on the market, like this one, but this pretty much is or features the most important parts of the trade website that I am using, at least. There of course is other stuff that can be very, very useful, very, very good, though I did want to focus on the weighted sum feature for this video. So if you have any questions about trading in general or this feature in specifics, or if something was unclear, feel free to drop it in the comment section and let me know. I will try to answer everything. With that said, I say thanks for watching and see you in the next one.